Good morning. I don't know if you can even see me that well. It's still dark. I'm on my way to work at the usual time in the morning. It's before sunrise, but yeah, the sunrise is getting later and later as we head deeper into autumn towards winter. Days are getting shorter. Yeah, today I wanted to talk about freedom. Now I've talked about freedom a lot in the past on this channel, quite a bit actually. You can watch my video on, I think, NoFap Week 6, where I discussed, the battle between security and freedom. But today I just wanted to really touch on freedom and just discuss what freedom really is, because I think most people have a very flawed understanding of what freedom actually is. So, I would describe freedom as taking full and complete responsibility for your actions in how they affect both yourself and others, as well as wider society. That's what freedom really is. Freedom is not being able to just do whatever you want and not care about the consequences. So, for example, if you don't take full responsibility for your actions, then you're going to give some of that responsibility over to someone else, whether that may be friends, family, the government, corporations, as has increasingly been done in the past few years. I don't have to even get into that. You should really understand that. So that's freedom. Another way that I like to describe freedom is standing completely in your own space while simultaneously respecting the space of others. So it has to do with boundaries. So you stand in your own space where you unapologetically uphold boundaries, and at the same time you respect the boundaries of others. Because it's easy to disrespect other people's freedom by breaking their boundaries. I mean, you do it, I do it, to some extent we all do it, right? We engage in codependent behaviors. But more than that though, some of us might be on the narcissistic side of the scale as well. But some people more than others, and I try my best to really respect the boundaries of others. And most importantly, what I'm really learning is to enforce my own boundaries, because you see, for a long time I've been somewhat of a people pleaser. Whenever people would ask me for help, I would immediately go rushing in help. And for example, in school, I really struggled to fit in. I didn't have any friends at all, and I did well academically. Instead of just hanging around with people during lunch break, I would just sit in the library and either read a book or do my homework then during the lunch break. And people always knew that I was doing that, so they would actually come over to me and, for example, ask me to help them with this question, help them with parts of their homework that they were struggling with. And me wanting to please people, wanting to fit in, I always assumed in my mind that if I help these people, then they'll like me, then they'll accept me, then I'll be able to fit in. So I'd always help people. I'd spend all this time and energy helping these people, doing that. And what did I get in return? Nothing. I got nothing in return, because I had false expectations, and I wasn't enforcing any boundaries. If people would ask me for help, I would immediately go and help, regardless of my own situation. Now, there might be times when I genuinely am feeling, kind. We all have these days where we might be feeling kind and just feel like, I want to help someone today, and then you go and do it. But I had many days where I just was, people would ask for help, and I would just say to them, I would just think to myself, fuck this, I don't want to help anyone today, just piss off, leave me alone. That's what I was thinking. But then I was like, oh yeah, I'll help you. So that was this, I wasn't respecting my own boundaries. Whereas if I respected myself, on the days that I feel like helping, I would say, okay, sure, I'll help you. Whereas on the days where I didn't want to help people, and they asked me for help, I would just say, no, sorry, I'm not going to help you. Stuff like that, No, not even apologizing, unapologetically say, no, I'm not going to help you. When someone goes and asks for help in that manner, it's like, I'm under no obligation, I'm under no contract that says, I have to help people all the time. And I've learned on this journey that the most important thing is, it's great to be kind, it's great to help others, don't get me wrong, but the person that we have to help first is ourselves. We We have to make sure that we are our strongest selves, that we are our best selves. And then once we do that, that's when we can go and help others, right? And a lot of people will think, oh, no, that's selfish. You got to help others first. Well, no, you got to have, first of all, make sure you are strong enough so that then you can go and help others, right? It's like if you're on a plane, right, and the plane's about to crash. First, and let's just say there's an accident, there's something happens, and there's the oxygen masks, right, that you got to put on. Like, you're not gonna just go and help other people first. First, you want to make sure that you put your oxygen mask on, and then you can go and assist others, because that way you know you're in a strong and empowered state where you can go and help others. Whereas if you don't put your mask on, then you might start going around helping others, and then it's too late, and you don't have a mask on. Well, you're dead. So that's a classic example. Now with freedom, I'm getting to a state now where I really start to feel a sense of freedom that I have not felt before. Now I feel a lot freer living out here in the rural Queensland, Darling Downs region. It's a beautiful thing to live out here. So for example, I'll share you an interesting story, right? So last night, I parked my car. I wasn't staying at the caravan as I usually do. I was staying at the place that I'm renting. I'm renting a place with my mum. We're sharing the cost, all of that. And I parked the car outside. It's on a main street. There's cars driving through and all of that. And I parked my car there, and I remember I got some things out of the car. I went back. I got some things out of the car. My key was in the door handle, and I walked out. I walked away. I completely forgot about it, right? So the car was fully unlocked, and the keys were in the door handle. So whenever the people would drive past, they would see that. They would see, my car. They would easily see that, the keys are in the door handle. And guess what? I got up to go to work this morning. The car's there. The keys are in, and it's very common here. Not as common as it used to be, I've heard, but it's still relatively common here for people to, they'll drive around, they'll park their cars, with the windows down, and sometimes the keys are even still in the ignition, and that's fine. Nothing's happening around here. There's not much crime at all around here. The only crime that we have around here is sometimes, at the food stores. There's a lot of food stores around where people are selling their produce. Occasionally you'll have some tourists and stuff wandering through who'll take something without paying, things like that. But apart from that, there's no crime out here, which is a beautiful thing. It's different, of course, if you're in a city. In a city, I mean, the Gold Coast where I grew up, it's very different. Like you hear about it's not the worst place to live in terms of crime, but you hear stories about break-ins and stuff all the time, and you would never leave your car unlocked, right? If you're in any big city, especially, you wouldn't do that. So living like that, you're living in a place where people tend to respect your boundaries more. It's like this car, this is my property, and it's like all of that. People respect that. Whereas in a place where there's high crime rates, it's not free, because people don't respect each other's boundaries as much. Criminals certainly won't. They'll take stuff that is not theirs. They'll harm people in certain ways. So that's an example of freedom. And with the taking full, complete responsibility, it's so freeing. It really is. Like, one thing I've noticed is that I'm not fucking complaining much anymore. I'm really not. Now, if you know me in real life, you would know that I'm not really one to complain, alright? Like, I especially do not complain in front of people. Like, there'll be many people, most people I would say that I know, unless you really know me well, you won't ever hear me complain. And I mean, that's probably out of a matter of, pride and a bit of ego, not wanting to appear weak, all of that. So I typically never complain in front of other people, but I certainly do complain to myself, and I know that. So if you know anyone who doesn't complain, they most likely do complain. They just don't show it. They just keep it to themselves. That's what I tend to do. But even to myself, I'm not even complaining much anymore. Like, this is probably one of the busiest weeks of my life. So what's happened is, farmer I work for most of the time with, milking, he's had 2 deaths in the family, so 2 funerals to attend, you know, and all that, and plus it's also going to be, you know, planting time this week. You're going to start planting some of the, you know, the winter crops as we, you know, get cooler. So if you know anything about farm work, man, planting time and harvesting time, it's a very busy time. Plus he's got all these other commitments as well. So, you know, I've agreed to do a lot of extra farm work this week. So yesterday, for example, you know, I did my, you know, my shift in the morning, milking about 4 hours, and then I also helped with concreting for a lot longer than I expected. I ended up helping with concreting for 8 hours. So yesterday overall was a 12-hour work day, and my old self, trapped in addiction, would have said, oh man, I'm so tired, this is so hard, I wouldn't have showed it to anyone else, but that's what I would have thought. But yesterday I just hunkered down. I was focused. I got the fucking work done. I did it. I just like, yeah, I've agreed to this. And it's like, that's freedom. I could have chosen to say no. I could have chosen to say, no, sorry, I can't do it. But, you know, I was feeling charitable. I felt like helping. It's like, you know, he's had deaths in the family. It's a busy time. It's like, yeah, I'll agree to help. And yeah, there were times yesterday where I was like, oh, fuck this. Why did I agree to this crap, honestly? But, you know, then I quickly realized, I thought, no, I chose to do this. I chose it. I take full responsibility for it. And so many people, they'll choose to just complain and say, oh, I don't want to do this. This is so hard. It's like, take some fucking responsibility. Grow up. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's no other way you can say it. Sometimes that's what you have to do. And it's like, if you're not in a place where you want to be in life, you gotta take some responsibility. And it's like, I'm not saying that everything is, you know, our own fault. Like, there's